Hello everyone, welcome back to Bread-a-licous. Today, breadsticks with beer cheese. So without further ado, let's get our stuff together and get cooking, y'all. So here's what you're gonna need, okay? For the breadsticks, you need 9.5 ounces of bread flour, and I've already have some of the salt in there. You're also going to need a 1/4 teaspoon of molasses. You're going to need 2 teaspoons of olive oil, and I have that in 5.3 ounces of water. These can go together. Don't dirty more dishes than you have to. Okay, and I'm about to throw the 1.5 teaspoons of dry yeast in. Okay. What is important is that salt and yeast do not touch each other. Yeast has to kind of stay at room temperature. Its sweet spot for growing and feeding and producing all that good fluffy texture through gas is 90 degrees to 115. Between 40 and 75, 40 and 85, it doesn't do much. Under 40, it slows down significantly. From 115 or really 120 to 130, it slows down to significantly, and then 140 degrees kills it. So if I were to pour boiling water over this, the yeast would die. So, and then it doesn't rise or levy anything, it just kaputs the bread. So you just got to be mindful of that. Another thing too is some people keep their yeast in the refrigerator, but I would pre-measure it before you use it. That way it doesn't slow down on you, is the best way I can put it. If it's at room temp and you mix it, it's gonna rise normally without any delay. So without any further ado, I'm gonna add my water to this. And again, we're just making our breadsticks. Okay, cool. Put that to the side. And then y'all know me, I like to get my hand in there. No point in not doing that. Okay. Kind of get that going. If you can see a nice thick streak of molasses, you gotta make it more. Okay, you gotta knead it a little bit more. So I'm just gonna take my hand there, and then I just move this out of the way so you can see, and then you just knead like we always do. These are breadsticks. You don't need to go crazy. They're small ones. It's a fun time. Think of it as like a nice appetizer. For me, I'm just doing plain breadsticks today because I'm in it for the beer cheese. I don't know about you, but anyway, but you can do anything you want to do with this. You can also, instead of molasses, I like the sweeter touch, and I think molasses is easier to find, but instead of molasses, you can always use malt syrup too. That's an option. But you can add herbs to this to make herb breadsticks. So you can use sesame seeds too to coat them if you want, and have sesame seed breadsticks. Again, get all that flour and clean your table at the same time. Multitask with kneading, it's great. But the options are really limitless. So I'm gonna knead this for 10 minutes. Now I'll be back and we'll start the beer cheese. Okay, so for the beer cheese, you're gonna need 6 ounces of ideally your favorite beer, okay? 8 ounces of sharp cheddar, 4 ounces of white cheddar. So I have 2 different cheddars here. Make sure you buy the blocks and grate them yourselves, y'all. Don't get pre-shredded. Then you'll need 4 ounces of cream cheese, or a whole block, which is 8 ounces. I'm going out 8 ounces because I like cream cheese. 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, some garlic powder, and a teaspoon of Dijon mustard, okay? So what you gotta do is add the liquids. I'm adding the beer to the pan along with the Worcestershire sauce so that it can simmer a little bit. Now, another thing too is the beer has kind of been poured out of the can or bottle and let there for about an hour. You want that carbonation kind of out of your equation, and this simmering helps with that. So once this comes to a simmer, then you put everything in and start to stir for it to melt. So we're just gonna wait a few minutes and we'll be right back. Okay, so I let the liquid come to a simmer, then I added my garlic powder, I added my or garlic salt, and then I added my cream cheese. I'm bringing that, I cut it into cubes so it melts faster, mainly so it's not curdly. Okay, it should be liquidy at this point, no big deal. We're just melting, you know, the cream cheese first because that's a little bit thicker of one. And then we wait a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be perfectly creamy, but once you see small curdles, that's the good sign to keep moving. Okay, and then you stir that in, okay? Now, part of the reason it is important to use freshly shredded cheese that you do yourself is a lot of the shredded cheeses that you can buy that are pre-shredded have a coating on them that makes them not melt well. It also has kind of a weird aftertaste. If you have fresh cheese that you grate yourself, it's a lot smoother texture, it tastes a lot better, there's no weird aftertaste. It's just overall better for you. So I'm just gonna keep stirring, and this becomes congealed in one dip, and then we'll let it cool, and then we'll get back to our breadsticks. See you in a minute, y'all. Okay, so let's talk about the grain itself when we're looking at wheat, okay? It has three main parts. You have your bran, which is your outer layer, your endosperm, which is this center layer here, and then the germ, okay? So when you see white bread or white flour, that bran typically has been removed, okay? When you get whole wheat flour, the outer layer of the bran has been removed, but not necessarily all of them. When you have bleached flour, it kind of kills the germ. So you lose a lot of vitamins and minerals and protein that way. A lot of the nutrients from the grain actually comes from the germ. That's why with whole wheat flours, you want to rotate your stock and be aware and not let it sit too long. If you've had your whole wheat flour open for over a year, double check it. It might have gone rancid on you. And it's because the germ has kind of gone rancid. That's what causes it. So this is a little bit more knowledge of the grain that we make our breads with. And it's also a good learning curve because when we purchase bleached flour, everything gets coated and killed. When you use unbleached flour, those nutrients remain. That's why cooking with whole wheat flour and baking with whole wheat flour is so nutritious. You just gotta keep in mind that it only is good for about 6 months, or the manufacturer's date on the bag or box, okay? All right, let's check out this beer cheese and get to forming our breadsticks, y'all. Okay, so our dough is rested for an hour. I put it in the container, or you can put it in a bowl like I did and cover it with plastic wrap. The important thing is that a skin doesn't develop on the ball of dough. That's the reason we cover it, okay? I'm gonna get this out of my way. Okay, we're also gonna grab my handy dandy rolling pin. I love these things. I'm gonna flour my rolling pin. All right, and then I'm gonna just roll that out, and then I'm just gonna do a nice rectangular motion. Yeah. One more turn. Okay. 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 Now, to show you a trick with this end, a lot of people will cut it like this, and the old-fashioned way of doing this was to roll it. I mean, you just roll it, roll it, roll it, roll it, roll. Okay, and then you start from the center. You don't push hard. You just do a light push, and then you roll all the way out. Okay, and that was one way of doing it. Nothing wrong with that. However, if you are trying to entertain a party, and this is just one of many things you're trying to do, there's an easier way that gets you close. And as you can see, I'm slowly taking my dough. If it gets a little stuck on the table, no big deal. You can pull, 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 cut, do another batch. Alrighty. And that way it's still roughly intact. The other option is to use a pizza cutter and just roll along. Doesn't have to be perfect. They're getting dipped in beer cheese. If you want to bring out a ruler, go right ahead. I am not a perfectionist when it comes to baking. Okay, I'll take this guy, kind of fold that tail end, put the breadstick there. I might do a nice roll. And these are a little bit longer than my sheet tray, so I'm just going to go ahead and make them even. And what's nice about this is even though these are cut, I can kind of turn them into a roll anyway, so I can just do a quick. It'll be a little funny looking, but no one cares. So, still very usable dough. Yep, that's definitely long. And that's okay, you gotta figure these things out as you go. So let's see, I need to, and that's why I do this stuff on camera. Bloopers, everyone, who needs them? It's learning opportunities. So I'm gonna cut, another 2.5 inches off. Again, we're not looking for perfection here. You're just trying to get a nice, fun bread appetizer out, something easy to put together for really any occasion. You can coat them with water. I actually recommend spraying them with non-stick spray. I think that's fun. Let me grab that. Yep. Adds a nice sheen. And make sure you have your breadsticks somewhat separated from each other. They will expand a little bit. Okay. So we're going to put these in a 380-degree oven for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to check them. And then I'll finish traying all these up, and we'll be right back. Okay, so my breadsticks, because they're a little bit thicker, took about 22 minutes instead of 20. But this is what they look like. GBD, golden brown and delicious. Okay, typically you want to let them cool, but what's nice about snack appetizers is you don't always have to be fancy, especially if people are coming around just having a good time. You can just do a quick snack hors d'oeuvre, and as you can see, it's not that hard to do. One thing I do want to point out though is this is the one we rolled versus the flat style. And again, doesn't have to be fancy, but you can roll them tighter and neater if you want to. For me, they're breadsticks, they're going in beer cheese. You don't have to, but that's just the difference in the look of rolling them versus cutting them with a pizza slicer. And that's just it. Breadsticks and beer cheese. Simple but fun appetizer in bread fashion. See you next time on Bread-a-licous, everybody. Take care.